Now, some of you may know that I'm a fan of Rick Riordan. I mean, you probably subscribe to this channel specifically because of my Percy Jackson content, which I swear I will get back to at some point. And while I have my issues with some of his work, I mean, that's why quite a few of you probably hate me as well, I do appreciate the way in which he writes, his storytelling, and the fact that he can write so much in a short period of time. He's basically the middle grade version of Brandon Sanderson in a way. But his routine is something that I have always been interested in the fact that he writes so much. So today, I'm trying out Rick Riordan's writing routine, because it's kind of interesting. Now, my friends over at Subjectify Media and Prophecy Radio podcast got to interview Rick in the lead up to the TV show's release. And through their interview, basically there were 4 things that were found out about his writing routine. One is that he does a sort of character brief or bio about the characters featured in that specific story. Now, there wasn't too much detail about that, but I'm assuming it's going to be sort of like what their arc is going to be in that story, their personality in that story, and their goals within the story. The second is that he does a rough outline of the story as a whole, mostly focusing on the main big plot points. Now, he diverts from that sometimes, but that is basically what he usually tries to stick to. But it's as bare bones as possible, only focusing on the big details. And from what I read as well, it's usually about a page or 2, no more, no less. The third is that he writes as much as possible in at least 2 to 3 months and just gets the whole draft done. Like, he gives himself the 2 to 3 months to just rough draft it. Now, I've technically already gone over that for the story that I'm going to be working on for this task, but we're going to pretend I haven't and just go with what Rick does. I'm also not going to do it over 2 to 3 months. I'm going to do it in like a couple of days, or at least try out the routine in a couple of days. But anyway. And then fourth is he spends the rest of the year revising it until it's practically perfect. Again, won't be doing that part. It'll mostly be the first 3, with only the third part being, half there. But yeah, that's basically his sort of routine style. Character bios, plot plan, rough draft writing, and then revising for the rest of the time. So it's kind of interesting, especially considering how much work he gets out like every year. That's his process. So I'm intrigued, and we're going to see how well I do following Rick Riordan's writing plan. So the book that I'm working on for this task is Eileen Book 2, The Breaking of Worlds. Eileen Book 1, obviously This Round of Life, came out a little while ago. Links down below if you're interested. And I have already started writing a little bit of it already, mainly because my deadline for the rough draft with my publisher is December 1st. Have I written enough? No. So that's why I'll be using this task to try and kind of get a lot more through it. Now, obviously, Rick Riordan starts with the character bio. So I will be doing that today, even though I'm already partway through the draft, because I think I'm at that stage now where I'm a little bit stuck. So maybe going back to the basics will help a little bit by, laying out what my characters are going to go through, what their directions are. So yeah, I'll be starting there and then diving into the rest, because, well, I already have the I can't show too much of this. I already have the rough draft for the whole plot, so at least that part I don't need to do. I'm just going to do the character bio bit and then just dive right in. It is more than 2 pages, but that is solely because anxiety. So yeah, but character bios now, and then going into drafting next. Let's see how it goes. I promise it is still the same day. I have just had to change because my jumper was getting a little bit too warm on me, so I had to swap it around. But yeah, character bios are done. I think that's helped a lot with kind of getting me back into the place I needed to be to write again. So now it's just going to be trying to finish this chapter that I'm partway through for today, and then just using tomorrow to mostly be the bush out and write day. So yeah, the character bios definitely help, so I can see why Rick does them. So yeah, it's a good sign so far. Let us continue. Okay, so I'm going to admit, it has been a day since I was writing, because yesterday I went home to see my parents and my nephew, all that sort of stuff. But I am back today, and I am going to be writing a little bit more. I'm still following Rick Riordan's method of literally just going through and writing. I'm not revising anything, I'm just plowing it out, following my plot stuff. And using the character bios as well, which, like I said, have been really useful. Managed to finish that chapter the other day, which went really well, and now I'm intending to finish this current sequence and also move on to the next one. I'm hoping to at least do 2, maybe 3 chapters today, but we'll find out if I do. But yeah, so far it's been okay. I am trying to see if I can find anything else about Rick's method, just because currently it is just the bios, you know, the main big plot points, and then writing. So I'm going to see if I can find anything else, to see if there's anything else I can try. But for now, it's just this. So let's get to it. So it has been 3 days now of me using the Rick Riordan method. And I don't know, it's been interesting following the way in which Rick usually writes his books. Obviously, I've not done it with the same length of time he usually does, mainly because I do not have the storage capacity for 2 to 3 months worth of filming. But it's been interesting having character bios that, like, I've had character bios before, and I have one for this entire series with the Eileen story, but writing one specifically for this book and focusing on the main characters that are featuring within the story that have the big plot things happening to them really helped give me guidance for working towards, you know, drafting the story. And even highlighting on my rough draft outline, and making sure that the big plot points were highlighted as well, has just helped give me a lot of direction for what I need to do and what I need to cover in Eileen Book 2. And while the drafting process still hasn't been super great, I am currently using, and this is not a sponsorship, if I can say the word correctly, I think it's called Pacemaker, which just helps me track, my word count, and, it tells me how much I need to write a day to achieve the certain goal, which basically I'm aiming to get 80,000 words. So I think the second book for Eileen is going to be bigger than the first book, which I've found is what usually happens with my stories anyway. I mean, Where Was the World was bigger than Home to the Wild, for example. But yeah, following Rick's method of just, focusing in on those plot points, having those character bios, and just writing and getting out as much as I can. It's been interesting. I think I'm going to continue following the method of just drafting, and just looking back on those bios and those main plot points. I wasn't able to find anything else that he usually does with his writing, routine. It was mainly just those 4 things, and obviously I only followed 3 of them because I can't do the 4th with revising, at least not yet, but maybe I'll do a video for that as well. But it's been kind of nice following, in a sense, in the footsteps of an author I admire and whose work, I have tattoos for and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, the Rick Riordan writing method has helped quite a lot, and I'm really happy with where Eileen Book 2 is going. I can't wait to give you all updates about that as well. But is there any author you'd like me to, try out their routine for? I have a few that I've already got in the works, which is Ursula K. Le Guin and Terry Pratchett. But if you have any others, or you want me to try out your own routine, let me know in the comment section down below. And yeah, it's been pretty fun. And Rick Riordan, you are a madman, and I'm impressed with the amount that you write. Maybe one day I can be like that, but probably not for a while, because I do not write fast, and I revise even slower. But I'll see you guys in the next one.